was kind of going back and forth on what topic I wanted to get into. I think faith, the idea of faith, believing, the power of the imagination and the intention, and how all these work together. I think this would be a really good topic. It kind of dabs into a couple of my blog articles, so I'll be using those as reference. So the first one is from my series, How It Began. It kind of shows how my spiritual awakening began, like kind of the domino effect of things that occurred, things that I learned about that shaped what I finally came to believe. And so this one, How It Began, which is part 3, Eric Pepin, the psychic and metaphysical connection. So the first thing is about believing. It is very important to believe with all your heart, with whatever you're into that's metaphysical or spiritual, because it is specifically your intent, your thoughts that are creation. It is what creates things. It is what creates your reality, and it requires you to believe it. And that's hard to stomach. And this is something that I learned because in order to try to learn something new, you have to give it a chance for you to believe it. You know, especially when it came to material, like specifically like the law of one, the best way to approach the material is to approach it believing every word of it with all your heart, and then afterwards, then you make your judgment, then you make your analysis. The reason why is if you do it as you go, your own biases are gonna cut in and they're gonna hack at that. And the first ridiculous thing that you might read that is just so far out of your imagination, you're gonna just throw the rest of it out. And to prevent that, you have to just blaze through it, believe it all, and then when you come out, then you make your judgment. And faith in what it is you are seeing or experiencing is important, because otherwise you may dismiss something that was real. Remember, the messages are subtle, so they're easy to dismiss. The method is to never question or dismiss your experiences in meditation or psychic practice until after the practice is over and you can analyze it. However, in the moment, you have to go with it and assume it is a meaningful piece of information or experience. And this is something that can be hard to swallow, right? But it does make sense. You know, you just think about it logically. If you're cutting it down as you go, you're not giving it a shot. Think of when anybody is trying to do something they don't think they can do, like in sports. You always say you have to believe in yourself, because if you don't believe in yourself, you won't have the proper mindset and give it your all. Isn't that right? That's absolutely the case, is that especially if you're doing something extraordinary, you're doing an extraordinary sport, you're doing something like high adrenaline, like you got to be in the zone. If you don't believe yourself, if you don't believe in yourself, you won't be able to take yourself to the next level to do it. So you can see there, proof right there, that belief is what excels us into the extraordinary. So it's the same idea here. You have to believe in it, put your heart into it, or else, like in sports, you may get lucky and still achieve it, but chances are you are not, because you won't have that extra oomph, you know? You have to stack all the cards in your favor, and you have to believe and put in the work, and it takes courage to believe. It's an easy out just to disbelieve, you know? It's easier just to you're just lazy. Or you can go the other way, where you just believe everything and you just don't disseminate at all. It's good in the beginning. Like Carla Rueckert said, if you looked at my other video, she said Don Elkins told her that gullibility was one of her biggest assets, because it allowed her to approach the material with a completely open mind and without judgment. And it's not till after that you reserve your judgment. Like that saying, reserve your judgment to the end. But if you're judging as you're going, you ain't doing that, right? So, anyway, it'll take time for you to learn to identify and distinguish what is from your mind and what is from other sources. They're very subtle clues that you feel that you must learn to expose by quieting the mind and learning to identify them. It takes practice with a lot of trial and error, but it does develop. It does develop. Okay, this comes to imagination. Now, this is what you don't hear enough of. One very important element in all of this is imagination. This is where the confusion comes in, I think, that turns people away from all this, you know, including myself in the beginning. Because they don't quite understand that or believe it. Imagination is what fuels our reality and allows us to expand our outer world as well as our inner world. See, now I sound like one of those new age mumbo jumbos. And that's also why you get turned off by it, because you'll see these guys go, you're like, seriously? But you know what? They believe it. They're conjuring something. They're manifesting something. So here's an example we see of all the time. So if you're sad and you dwell on that sadness, everything around you reminds you of how sad things are. From the pictures you see, the music on the radio, people's attitude, everything. It can influence your health. It can make you sick. If you're happy and in love, the world is lovely. Everything reflects the idea of love. So what's the difference? It's the state of mind. It's your perspective. It's your imagination. Your perspective is influenced by your imagination, whether grounded or ungrounded, meaning whether it makes sense or not. Your imagination, it's still valid, right? If you're sad and you pretend to be happy and believe you are happy, you will see that shift. But you also know when you're just pretending, like kind of faking it. But if you like feel it, you pull it in, you use everything you can to turn that imagination into something real, you will make that shift. You will make that transition. Just like positive attitude is a healing placebo for health. Okay, I'm going to use this as a transition. The Becoming Supernatural with Dr. Joe Dispenza, this is what he focuses on. It's the idea of the imagination and the intention is what creates the healing. So how do we justify this? Think about science. Just what I just said here. Positive attitude is a healing placebo for our health. Every time they do studies for a new medication, there's always a test in there. There's always accounting for the placebo effect in every single one of those. Every single medicine goes through that. And yet, have you ever gone to the doctor and instead of them prescribing you medicine, that it just says, I want you to just go home. I want you to treat yourself. I want you to be as happy as can be. I want you to feel happy. I want you to think about the happiest moments in your life. And I want you to think about that pain that you're having and think about it healing. You ever heard a doctor say that? Even though a science community makes you test for that because it's a fact. Isn't it curious that people don't talk more about that? Wonder why. We'll stay out of the conspiracy theories for this one. But anyway, yes. The placebo effect. And one thing to note, the concept of the seed to a tree. All the information that the tree needs to grow, to survive, to learn, to adapt, to heal, is all in that seed. And we have the same information in our bodies. Our DNA has all the information it needs to make a perfectly healthy human being. So all we need to do is reactivate, bringing that energy in that helps our body to remember how it heals. Great example of this, there was a study where they took young healthy stem cells and they injected next to your old broke stem cells, and there's no chemical reaction that's occurring, but your old broke stem cells, they start age regressing. They start healing. And all it is they're just remembering. So we have everything we need to heal. I believe I read that in this book. Can't be 100% where I get the source from. Okay, your imagination even controls your memories. How many times have you remembered something different than what really happened? This is a fascinating topic right here. May go off on another tangent. Tangents are good, right? It makes you think. But what you think happened is what drives how you feel about that event. And that event could affect the rest of your life, if that had a strong impact on you. If you're not responsible for a car wreck, but you believed you were, think the impact your imagination would have on you. Wow, right? I read something by Jason Silva. He described how you can rewrite your memories, rewrite your history. Say there was a past event. Say maybe your parents left you when you were younger. You harbored all these negative feelings. You harbored, your imagination run wild about why or what happened and what they did. And what if you found out the truth? And maybe it was justifiable. Maybe you're like, wow. That realization, or your choice to make that realization, your choice to change how you feel about it, not to feel negative about it, to feel positive about it. You just rewrote your past, right? I love thinking about this shit. Imagination is used in meditation to bring life and context to something. So it can also be a language specific to the individual. For example, if the thing you love the most in this world was a stuffed bear you've had since you were a little baby, and you wanted to express your love for someone who passed, you may imagine handing them that bear, because to you that bear means all the love in the world, right? That person would know what it meant, because it's not the bear that matters, but the emotion that was behind it. Or the other way around. You fall asleep and imagine this person walking up to you, handing you this stuffed bear. Because this is how you see love. This is a language that is purely your own. This is how your imagination is used as a personal language. This is kind of like telepathy, Well, it actually is telepathy. Because what it is you put a concept in the mind, and then that's how you interpret that concept. If you think about language, how inefficient language is. Language sucks. And this is why. If I say I love you, you have that, that's said to like 100 different people. You're going to have 100 different meanings for the word love. When I could put the thought of the concept of what I mean by love, if I could put that in your mind without words, you can feel it, you'll know it. Can't wait till we get into telepathy. That's good stuff. So there's a meditation done by Eric Pepin, who's a psychic that now teaches meditation, spiritual concepts. So he does a cord cutting, where in the meditation you cut emotional ties. So you pretend there's an actual sword in your hand, and you physically move it around like this. You can do the cord cutting any way you want. What's important is the intention and the emotion behind it. The imagination, just helps as like a shortcut for us to easily make that connection to the intention and the emotion we are trying to evoke. So it tells you when you're going around, you feel like the cord being cut, and you feel the specific emotion being let go. Being able to put your imagination to the intention and put your emotion involved into it, all of that together makes it for a very effective means of doing what you want. So doing that for manifestation, for something in law of attraction, or in things as it is in dealing with healing. So the reason why this was a really big revelation for me is it helped me to understand all the weird shit that's out there. Because when you get into yogis and you get into meditation, you get into psychic crystals, new age movement, and you get into alternate healing, you get into some pretty weird stuff. You get people doing some pretty crazy stuff. If we take specifically healing, see all these guys doing all this energy things, and using tones or colors or whatever, some of them are a dance, or you're going to dance vigorously and you scream or do what, some of them are really crazy, and yet all of them have the potential to all work. The reason why is, well, healing takes two things. It takes the belief of the person who's conducting the healing, and it takes the belief of the person receiving the healing. Both have to have pure faith, belief in what is happening, and that is required. So no matter what crazy stuff they're doing, if you believe it and he believes it, this person believes it, whatever however they're conducting it to you, then you have successful healing. So that's pretty eye-opening. I read that through Eric Pepin's talk in describing how some of those relationships work. I learned that in Becoming Supernatural from Dr. Joe Dispenza. I learned that through also the Emotion Code by Dr. Bradley Nelson. And it was also validated through Law of One. And what Law of One states is that this energy of the Creator called love, which again, it's not the love as we described in our language. You know, it's one of those that you wish you had telepathy. You know, I can't even say I understand that concept in the context that he gives it. But he said love is the energy that heals. It describes it, or they, I say he, I don't mean that it's the they describe it as intelligent infinity. They said this is how all healing works, all healing. You have someone that is a conduit or bringing in the intelligent infinity, and they do that with intent. They do that with their imagination. They pull it in, like you pull it in a column of light into your heart chakra, and then you extend that energy into the person to be healed. That intelligent energy acts like the healthy stem cell mixed in with your broke-ass stem cell. And your body remembers how to heal. It's actually not the person doing the healing, it's actually healing. They're just channeling this energy, this intelligent infinity into the other person. So it takes the imagination, the belief, the intent of the person doing the healing, because they have to be able to manifest this energy. They have to be able to take in this energy, and then they have to be able to release it into the person. And then the person who's receiving it, it's like handing off a ball, right? I'm handing a ball to you. But if you don't believe it exists, you're gonna drop the ball. You're not gonna get it. It's like handing you this energy, this ball of energy that you can't see, but you have to believe it's there and reach out and take it. You have to apply it. That's cool, right? When I learned that, and people talk to me about like, oh my God, I went to this healer and it actually worked, like, I believe you. I absolutely believe you. And it also explains why some people go to one guy and like, nah, it didn't work for me, but this other guy, I believe this guy. Because if you go in it and you're not believing it, chances are it's not gonna work. Unless the energy of the person doing the healing is like really tremendous, that can compensate for your lack of belief, you know. That'd be a truly gifted individual. And Ra also described that as exactly how Jesus did healing as well. He was channeling this intelligent infinity and applying it onto those that needed the healing. Cool. Okay, so I think I'm gonna transition to the emotion code here. I like this. It's very good. The writer is very good. Seen him in interviews. I think he can have a bit of an ego to him, so I don't like that too much. I think he does have something here that's significant. And what it is he states that when we have emotions, so if we have like negative emotions, they actually manifest into a very physical energy. It'll look for ways to latch on. He said oftentimes these will latch on to something that is already weak. So if you have a bum knee, for example, and you have a negative emotion that you've kind of suppressed, that emotion could manifest into something of physical energy and actually lodge itself in your knee. So it would increase inflammation and things like that. This is an interesting concept, and it was validated a bit by Law of One. I wouldn't say it was a direct validation because it was never addressed specifically. However, multiple times he describes entities negative emotion entities lodging inside your clutter, which is why feng shui becomes important. It lodges itself in dirt, and it'll lodge itself inside you. So think of negative emotions as being real entities, and that changes the way you work with it. And especially when you think about law of one, we all are interconnected, right? So that negative energy is kind of a reflection of yourself as well. Well, for one, you manifested that energy. In the emotion code, Bradley describes using techniques in order to access your subconscious. Played with this a bit, and I find validity in it. One is the sway test. If you stand up and you think about feelings of love, positive feelings, you'll find yourself kind of leaning forward a little bit. And you think about something negative, you come off the chair. You find yourself leaning back a little bit. So yeah, you want to do that. You stand, you center yourself, make sure you're grounded, make sure you're not feeling angry or upset, because those can influence, and you can ask your subconscious questions. Basically ask yes and no questions and have it say, for yes, is this a yes? And then you'll lean forward, is this a no? So anyways, he uses this technique. You can look up how to do this technique, so I'm not going to get too far into it, but it's basically using this yes-no technique. And there's others. You can do pressure and things like that. There is a scam, though, I've seen with the arm. So I don't like that technique, or seeing people use that. So anyway, to try to get back on track, so he's saying these negative emotions, and they can be from karma. They can be karmic. They can be from past lives. They lodged in, and you have these regressed subconscious memories that are being lodged somewhere. You can use this technique to try to isolate what those emotions are. And he said it's important to know specifically the emotion you're looking for, and asking if it's something that you can let go, because maybe you didn't learn the lesson. So your higher self is not ready for you to let go of that, because you didn't learn it. Very interesting stuff that you have to come to trust and believe in your imagination. Remember, we're all co-creators. Oh, I got a good write-up on that in my blog about us being actual co-creators. And I said one of the other videos, we're here to engineer our own lives. We're here to manifest our experiences. This is actually our trial period. I think I rambled on long enough. I didn't really have any guidance here. I was kind of bouncing off a couple blogs that I had and kind of spinning off, running off on different ideas, but hopefully you got something out of it. Anyway, help me out, like this video, subscribe to my channel, and check out my blog. All the information be down there. Anyway, peace out. You guys have a great day.